morning. Can you hear me behind the Josh Hellman PFP?
You sound great, Sarah. Good morning. Good morning.
Excellent.
Hope you're having a
Excellent.
good one.
Taco hugs to you, Kev.
Also, you too.
I see that Tech in Schools and Alisher are here. Matthew, good morning. How are you? I hope you're doing well. We're going to recap what we did last night. It was a fast moving kind of here's how we got from A to B and filled in all of the gaps in between. If you wanted to watch the live version, it is streaming. Yep. Good morning. I'm waving to you too. So we're just going to wait for folks to kind of get their coffee and come on in. It'll be a short and sweet space, I assume, about an hour, a little over maybe, to get everybody caught up and kind of thinking about what the next thing is going to be. Just for the recording's sake, want to make sure that folks that have been missing our Wednesday nights and maybe just showing up on Thursday, I will say this twice or more during today's session, make sure you're posting your progress down in the purple bubble and attaching it to the Tech in Schools handle, because we need to see your progress in order to compete for that C panel, that final, right? We have a couple people that have already been chosen. We have a couple spots still available. We want to make sure that your progress is being, kind of documented throughout the whole entire, we don't want everybody to push and say, well, this is the final cram and, learning bit by bit, even if you have destroyed your entire website, which we have a number of people that did, crashed everything, burned it all to the ground, all their progress, and had to start over. That's okay too. So I see that Luke has arrived. I see Karis has arrived. We'll wait for people to shuffle in. Usually we start at the 5-minute mark. So I know that the silence in the background can be very unnerving. It can be even more so on the recording because most people will duck out if they hear just silence. Um, but it's usually shuffling all of the ecosystems behind the scenes. We have to have the innovatorsthinktank.com up and running. So you'll have the live stream there. Tech in Schools, of course, has their Twitch stream, amongst other things. You have all sorts of things going on in the background, making sure that we can communicate to everybody in whatever medium they prefer the best. Also, obviously, the Slack channel is very important for folks to fill their digital backpacks and get their questions asked more in real time. There's always a delay here on X, and you can only do so much through DMs. Slack is a very robust ecosystem, and it's very accessible in terms of getting those questions answered real quick. So if you have any comments, questions, and concerns, abuse the purple bubble if you can see it. Sometimes when you come into space, you can't see it. And in that case, you're kind of dead in the water. You can't really participate necessarily. The secret is to go to, let's say, Josh Hellman, his PFP, where he has the announcement of our space, and it'll say, when you see that post, it'll say listen in live or whatever. You can actually respond below it and it'll attach it to the purple bubble for you. It's a roundabout way. It's kind of annoying, but we have to act like velociraptors and test all the parameters to make sure that we can get to our goal. So hopefully everybody is settling in. We'll start shortly. So I'm going to go off mic and we'll test everybody else's mics to make sure that we're hot, straight, normal.
I think, Sarah, that if you click a post or something in the Jumbotron, I think it gets rid of the bug. It gets rid of the blue little post button. At least it did for me one week. I don't know if that's still going to work because it seems like X is changing their spaces code every other day now. But yeah, if anybody's listening on the replay, if you just click something in the jumbo, it might fix it still. I'm not sure. It's been a while since I've had that bug, but I know it's annoying. Hopefully they fix that.
Poor
But
Rutro last night. She was so frustrated. She's like, I cannot comment on anything. And I was like, I am so sorry, love. She's like, I hate it. I hate it. If you could read the DMs, I swear, it's very funny.
Yeah, I got something similar, and I felt so bad. She was I I feel bad because I think it makes you try to post the space as like a shared link post. You know, I think it's bugged like that. So it's just frustrating. I feel like people get turned off by that real quick when that bug happens. But hopefully Ross and Alistair got their coffee and everything's working out all good over there.
We are ready to go. And guys, a few things that Sarah said that were very important. Make sure you share your links, and if you don't want to share them publicly, you can always DM us. And let's see. And yeah, if you guys are experiencing some issues with X, you can always leave and come back. Um, we'll be here the whole hour. We'll make sure that we work through all the issues. And of course, next week in the beginning of the week, we're also going to do a review. These recordings are all going to go up on YouTube, I'd say within a few hours. So watch out for the link to YouTube and our Slack channel. Slack is another great way to reach out to us, especially for the idea to impact WordPress build sessions. That's what we mainly use Slack for. And let's see. Today on the docket, we have some review of setting up a new WordPress, which is something you guys did last night. I have connecting the domain, which will be pretty important. And we set up the SEO last night as well. So I think we'll do the quick and dirty on those three things. We'll talk a little bit about how next week is going to work, and I think then I'll let you guys go. All right, I'm seeing some thumbs up. Awesome. So I think we're gonna get started. And the biggest thing we did last week to make these websites, these WordPress websites, our own, is we actually connected our domains. So some of you bought domains, some of you already had domains. Well, connecting the domain is actually pretty easy in WordPress. All you have to do is just point your domain to your cPanel, and then you can use the domain for whatever you want. So we'll go through that process. Let's take a look. First, we'll start with GoDaddy. Now, you can use Namecheap, you can use Google Domains. You really can use anything you want, even Cloudflare, anything that can sell you a domain. So in my case, I'm going to use GoDaddy. And last night we had some issues with GoDaddy. So if you're in Chrome, you might experience some problems going to GoDaddy. For me, for example, my entire GoDaddy right now is in Spanish. Not sure why, but we're gonna add a record or edit a record depending on what you're doing with your domain, and then we're gonna have to connect that domain to cPanel. So let's take a look. First, you want to navigate to your domain. It's going to be in your products, and then you want to manage the DNS settings of that domain. And here in DNS, most of you will have just a few records. Now, if let's say you have a domain like techindschoolsinitiative.com, and that's the domain you want to use for your website. So when people go to techindschoolsinitiative.com, they land at my WordPress website. Well, I'm going to have to edit what's called an A record. And in this case, I'm going to have to edit this at A record. Because you want to use your root level domain. Now, if you want to make a subdomain for your domain, let's say you have a domain that you're already using. And this website, this WordPress website, you want it to exist on, let's say, Thursday.techindschoolsinitiative.com. Well, I'm going to have to make a new record in that case. So I'm going to make a new A record. Um, this is this is A. It's just in Spanish. It can't work for some reason. And for this one, I'm going to call it Thursday. And the rest of it is going to fill in automatically. And now the value where you want it to point to, well, you want that to be the IP address of your cPanel. Now, all of our cPanels have the same IP address, and if you're in your cPanel, it's actually right here on the right for you. It's the shared IP address. Now, TTL, that's just how long it's going to go before timing out. You can set this to 600 seconds. That's your typical. It could be less, it could be 100, it could be 60. But this should work for us. Now, this flow right here, this is going to point the domain to my cPanel. So now what I have to do is create the domain inside of my cPanel in order to connect that. So we're going to go to our cPanel. And I would say for the first time in 4 weeks, we're going to explore the cPanel a little bit. And we're going to look for domains. So here's domains. This is how we manage our domains inside of cPanel. And check this out. I only have the one domain. Perfect. So I'm going to create a new one. So create new domain. And that domain is going to correspond to my website. So it's going to be Thursday, which is the subdomain I created, .myapps.ai, which is my main domain that I'm using today. I think we used it yesterday as well. If we scroll down here, we'll find the land there. Yeah.
Hey, Alisher, real quick, I have a weird question. Will the cPanel or will this ecosystem ping us if the domain ever goes down? Like, for instance, let's say hypothetically, I had an old credit card on GoDaddy, and for some reason it didn't renew or was in that holding pattern. Would the other ecosystem give me a heads up as to there might be a problem with your domain? Um, I'm just curious because there could be like a cascading effect if you're not keeping track of your domains. Last night, I realized one of the domains I was thinking about linking it to had an expiration date that was coming up, and it had been hooked to an old credit card. And so I ended up, you know, re-upping a bunch of names last night. But I started thinking about that. What happens if there's something, with your hosting? Will this side of your website be pinged or notified to your knowledge? Put it that way.
No, it will not. So cPanel
So
is
you'd be
not going to
screwed.
notify you, but
Okay.
you can set up a system of, checks. For example, if we go to your WordPress, you can set up some sort of a plugin that messages you if, let's say, your WordPress goes down. And from there, you can figure out why your WordPress is down. But it's not going to ping you ahead of time because this cPanel really has no control over your domain whatsoever. GoDaddy has control over your domain. And I would say if you guys don't want to manage your domain in GoDaddy, you can probably move it to Cloudflare, where there's I think the system is a little bit more robust in terms of protecting the domain. So it will probably notify you.
Well, this
But
is just pointing, from what I understood last night.
yeah,
You're just
this is just
directing
pointing to the
traffic.
server. Yeah.
Yep, you're directing traffic. Okay. Dan also has a question before we move on, but that is something that I've been marinating a lot on because you're dealing with a lot of moving parts and setting up, your own system to manage, making sure that you're not, exceeding expiration dates or, when you have to re-up certain subscriptions, things like that. But that I think is how Scoble lost his website actually, is that he had so many different moving parts that he didn't realize that it was a problem with GoDaddy actually, and that he didn't realize it. And so I just wanted to kind of mitigate things that could happen like within the year, because a lot of people bought domain names last night and they only bought them for 1 year. And you're going to forget that you bought them on Juneteenth. I'm just going to say that right now for the document, for the, so that you can come back and see that you will forget. I know that there are certain things that I've purchased specifically for these classes that I will forget that I purchased them on this day and that they re-up, and then all of a sudden you're going to have a credit card that is, dinged when you least expect it. And, we don't want any surprises. But Dan, go ahead, love.
Yeah, I'm just, I think, a step behind. I got a domain last night, so I'm excited, and I'm in the GoDaddy, the DNS records, and then I know you said something about an A record, but that's where I got lost.
Yes. So check this out. If you're watching the live stream, what you will need to edit, because you want to use your domain as is, right? You don't want to use a subdomain. You just bought a fresh domain. So you're going to edit the first DNS record, which is the @ symbol. And you're going to see that it probably says something like parked for the value, right?
Like park. I like the
No,
first one
park,
is
like park the car.
right, but the first one is it's A, and it says I don't see anything that says value. It says website builder site.
Okay,
Take a screenshot.
so that means that GoDaddy defaulted you to their builder. So what you're gonna do is the first record that you have, make sure it says it's an A record, it's at, right, the @ symbol, and then the value you can change. You can click edit, and you can change the value to the IP address of the cPanel.
Oh, I see. Okay, I just had to click the edit button. Got it. Okay.
Yeah, but that's interesting that they default you to the builder now. You can, of course, easily change that and do whatever you want with your domain. Their builder is a bit basic.
Yeah, they actually made an AI like landing page, like construction page for me. So it's kind of interesting.
Now, the IP address of the cPanel, you guys can see it at the top whenever you go to cPanel. It's that 138.197.67.151. You can just copy and paste that for the value. And then on the cPanel side, you're going to need to go to domains. You can actually search tools. There's a search bar in the top right. And then once you're in domains, you want to create a new domain. You want to enter the domain that we're adding in here. In my case, it's thursday.myapps.ai. Now, you're going to uncheck share document root, because what we want to do is we want to make a folder that's outside of our document root, that's separate, that we can put all the things related to this domain to. You can leave the folder name as is, public HTML / domain name. That'll work. And then it also forces you to create a subdomain, which is like a second domain for this domain on the server, which you can keep to something that's one word, that's easy, because it's going to add all this dot your cPanel domain at the end. And then we should be able to submit. This will add the domain, it will link them, and then you just gotta wait a few minutes for it to propagate and for it to secure itself. There's automatic certificate issuing and securing that happens on the server. Let's see. There you go. Domain added. It tells you the document root of the domain. It's its own folder. I can go to it. It's gonna show me it's empty folder. There's nothing here. And now I think what we're gonna do is I'm gonna let this domain propagate. One way to check is to go to your domain, right? And you want to probably go in incognito if you want to avoid any of the cache. And let's see. There you go. It goes to my empty folder. So from here, let's see. HTTPS probably is not on yet. That usually takes 5 to 10 minutes. Yeah. From here, we're just gonna make a new WordPress that we want to play with. Or you can, of course, change it to your WordPress. You can even make a carbon copy of your WordPress on the new domain. So I'm going to go to applications. let's see, which ones do we have here? So I have new site and I have my previous website. Let's see what they look like. And then I'll make a copy of one of them. Yeah, I'll copy this one with the chat bot. Why not? Looks cool. All right, so if you guys want to make a new WordPress, of course, you can go to Applications Browser. This is something I think a few people asked last night, is how do you make a new one? You go to Applications, you go to Applications Browser. That's how you start with a brand new WordPress. For me personally, I'm actually going to make a copy of an existing WordPress. So here, I have the first WordPress we created when we started. This is what we were playing around during week 1, 2, and 3. Has a lot of content already. And one of these buttons is actually a clone button, which will make a carbon copy of my WordPress right here next to the existing one. So I'm going to click clone, and then it's going to take me through the same process as you would when creating a regular WordPress in here that we did during week 1. So let's see. Here's my domain option. This is where I want to choose the new domain. And guys, watch out. You always want to choose the version of the domain that is HTTPS, meaning it's secure. It'll automatically go to the secure version. It also gets rid of some of the issues. Sometimes when you're not on a secure website, you have issues with different pictures. So this kind of fixes it for you. And I'm going to look for thursday.myapps.ai. That's the domain I added. So https thursday.myapps.ai. Make sure when you're adding your domain, you're choosing the HTTPS version here. Even though it's not secure yet, it eventually will be. Now, directory, this will just make another folder inside of the folder the domain is in. So we don't really need this. I just wanted to go to my WordPress in this case when I go to thursday.myapps.ai. This is all automatically set. The user will be exactly the same as your previous user, so that will come through. And all you have to do is just click clone, brand new copy of your WordPress website, except on the new domain now. And of course, if you're launching a new one, you're going for Applications Browser, you're going through all the same steps of choosing a domain, making sure there's no directory, because we just want it to be in the domain folder. Okay, any questions so far, guys? This is probably one of the more important things we did last night, adding your domain and being able to actually connect your domain to the WordPress.
Yeah, I guess mine is connected now, which is great. But it's connected to like this blog version of mine. So I'll put my website in like my new domain in the chat. Oh my goodness, struggle. Sorry,
Did you make a new WordPress?
Dan,
Yes.
Dan,
Yep.
make sure you're putting those links in the Slack channel, not
Right.
in Twitter. Okay, honey?
Got it. Okay. So yeah, it went to like it has my header, but then it went to the wrong WordPress.
Well, let's take a look. Actually, I have access to all of them. So I can actually take a look at your specific WordPress. So let's see. It's going to be way easier now. Okay, so let me go to domains. Let me see where you put your domain. Okay, so check this out. It's music for men, right? That's the one. Let's see where it goes. So for me, it actually goes to your website, but it looks like maybe what's going on with that homepage.
Yeah,
Let's
it's
go to the main website.
yeah, I'm not entirely sure.
So
It
this
doesn't
is
go.
your homepage, by the way.
I think I accidentally hit the mute everybody.
I
But
think it was you too, but I'll take it. I'll claim it so you can have a clean record. I'll say the old lady did it, and it'll be okay for the.
oh no, you're all
You're
good,
all
Sarah.
good. You're all good, Kev.
Continue, Alistair. My bad.
You're all good. So this is your homepage, Dan. So I think one of the things we can look at is actually fixing your homepage and setting the homepage that you want it to be. Because you probably have pages here already that you have made that you want to be a homepage, right?
Right. Yeah. It's the one other page that's in my cPanel.
Right. So look, I'll check out your website. Let's take a look. I'll log directly into it. And let's see. We have pages. Perfect. So this is the page I'm assuming that you want your homepage to be.
Yes.
Okay. Now, this leads perfectly to the next part, which is setting up some of these global settings for our WordPress. So I'm going to log into my WordPress that I just created. Shoot. I got to go back. I don't want to accidentally overwrite your website, so let me go back to mine. Okay, cool. So here's my brand new website that I made. Now, what I recommend then is you make a copy of your website, right? So just like I did, you're gonna go to your website here in Installatron, and you're gonna click the clone button. It's the two lines going down on this page. Or actually, I noticed you okay, don't clone just yet. You could do it later because you pointed your domain to where your website already exists. So let's just change the homepage, and then we could always change the domain for your existing website. So let's focus on the WordPress and actually setting that homepage, because right now all it does is just defaults to whatever WordPress is set to. Yesterday, Ross went to Appearance Customize to get to this option. This is where you're going to find a lot of global settings. Again, in your WordPress dashboard, you're going to go to Appearance Customize on the menu. Some important settings we're going to notice here, because you have title on one page, music for meditation, but your WordPress is still called My Blog. So first, we'll go to General Settings, and we'll go to Site Identity. And you want to change your site title, your tagline, and your site icon. So this is in General Settings, Site Identity. That's step one. And that's going to fix the My Blog, just another WordPress that it says on top.
That's a great tag.
So I'm going to say Thursday example, no longer a Wednesday example. Thursday example, tagline, example for ITT. And then I can click publish, and that will save those settings for you. Now, the second setting, which is actually setting the home page. Let's see where that is. Because Divi jumbles it up a little bit. Okay, we're going to go back and we're going to go to homepage settings. And this is where we can set what page we have as the homepage. So for you, you want to select the page that you made, Music for Meditation, as the homepage. And then you also want to make sure that static page is enabled instead of latest post page. Because static page means the page that you've created rather than the automatic WordPress blog page. And then
Okay.
if you want to
Sorry.
have
Sorry.
blogs,
Where did you go? I missed.
okay, so this is, you're inside of Appearance Customize.
Yep.
So this is homepage settings.
Got it. Thank you.
And then let's see what other homepages I got here. New homepage, let's check that out. Oh yeah, I'll use the spa one. Perfect. So this is how you guys set what homepage gets displayed. Let's say if you want a different one to be displayed, you can change it here. This is also where you set your blog page. Now from here, make sure you publish. Once you publish, that's like the save button in this section. Okay, awesome. So I'll leave this as is. I'll actually exit. There are some other settings you want to keep in mind in here.
I fixed it. It's published. Yay!
You did it? Nice. Awesome. That's what I like to hear. Fixing issues. Now, some settings in here that you want to pay attention to. There are some equity settings here that you can take a look at. There are some additional CSS settings here that you can take a look at. This is global CSS. So if I add code in here, this code is going to be on every single page of the website. So just like Ross showed you guys yesterday, let's see if I have a footer here. Oh, I have my own footer. Well, I have my own footer. So if you guys want a different footer, let's say I want to keep this footer instead of having this giant footer here. Well, I can actually use some code and completely get rid of this whole section of the page, whatever is beneath this beige green footer. So let's see how to do that. We go to my front page, and we love the inspect tool. So when I right click, I can inspect. I was inspecting earlier. And this is going to give me the code, the HTML code being generated for this website. And I'm going to look for footer. So here we are. Let's see until the footer gets highlighted. There it is, footer class. It has its own little class. Now, this is what we can do here is we can set the footer to not display. So you want to set the display property to none. Display, none, and there goes the footer. And now if you want to completely override every single settings for this section, for this footer, you're going to add this exclamation important at the end. And that's going to override all the other settings for you and will always default to this setting. And now, once I've written my code in inspect, I can actually copy this block of code and I can paste it into my custom CSS. And that's how you would start building some of the custom CSS that you might need. So I know some people ask, well, how do I put a picture across the entire website instead of just one page? This is your option. Set a global CSS setting for the background image for the whole website. You can actually most likely ask AI Tutor for it. So great setting to keep in mind, and you don't need a plugin for it. This is something WordPress comes with naturally. Super useful. Okay, so from here, I think we're all set here. There's one more thing that we took a look at last week that was pretty important in terms of going from non-public website to a public website. Of course, these are all the things like the footer you want to set up before you go public, so all the links are working and everything. But there's also another important thing, which is the SEO. How does the internet see your website? How do these search engine indexers see your website? How does your website look like when you share on social media? Because whenever you share a link on social media, there's certain metadata like an image, title, tagline, description that gets parsed. Well, we use a specific plugin for that called All-in-One SEO. Probably one of the most popular plugins for SEO. There's another one, Yoast SEO. You can check that one out as well, but we'll use all-in-one. So I'm going to go to plugins in my dashboard. And guys, one thing to be said about plugins. If you have plugins in here, make sure you update them. Because WordPress, because it's such a large framework, attackers will always try to exploit WordPress. It's one of the largest frameworks for websites on the web. So once in a while, you want to visit this and you want to update these plugins to keep your website secure. So I'm going to add a new plugin, and I'm going to look for all-in-one. Actually, be one of these most popular ones now. Popular. There's Yoast. Very similar. Yeah. There it is. All-in-one SEO. It's literally on the front page. It's constantly updated. Has 3+ million active installations. Meaning there's 3 million websites that use this. Recently updated, good reviews, large amounts of reviews. So it passes all of our check marks for a good plugin. Let's activate. Yeah, you can find plugins, guys. It's in dashboard. You go to plugins and you go to add new, and it's gonna pull up the plugin store for you. All the plugins on there are free, but some of them might have a premium tier that you might need to pay for. But for our purposes, the free version will work amazingly. I will make this, let's do an online store, why not? And then here's the homepage title, and a few things here. If you have a proper site title and tagline already set up in your WordPress, just like we did in Customize, well, then I can just say, include the site title, separate it, and then include the tagline, and that will fill it in kind of dynamically based on your WordPress settings. This meta description doesn't really mean anything. This is just pulling some code from your page. You want to set an actual description. It's going to tell you whether the description is good or not. It's going to give you an SEO score at the end. So for me, I will, let's see what I have. I have the Notion in here somewhere. So I'll just take the description for this week from my Notion. Actually, I can take it from the ITT website. Now, guys, SEO is going to be important because all of us are sharing these links. Eventually, this link is going to need to, hit the internet. It's going to need to become public. People are going to need to see it. And whenever you share, if you want it to be shared correctly, if you want it to get the maximized amount of reach when you're sharing, all-in-one SEO, they're going to help you do that with really just a few clicks and just setting certain parameters. Mobile person. Yeah, why not? Let's see if I have a logo in here. Amazing. And now you want to fill these out. Let's see what you guys were having. I know Russ said you're having an issue with X and sharing a link to X. So let me put my profile here. Let's see if it works.
Yeah, see?
Please check the format. Okay.
It's weird. It's some glitch.
Is it twitter.com is what it wants?
Imagine. That's what it wanted.
So it's just outdated. It's not x.com. If you guys are doing this, make sure you use twitter.com. It should redirect anyway. But you're going to fill these out. These are going to be useful, right? Eventually, through SEO, it's going to link to your social media accounts. Maybe even in Google, when Google indexes it, this is something that pops in when people look up your website. Let's see. I'm going to save and continue. I recommend you read through some of these. So, for example, we don't really have Pro, so that's not really even gonna work.
You skip all those.
And if you guys really want to crank up your SEO, feel free to get Pro. Feel free to find the solution maybe that works for you. That's better, and it's gonna have mostly the same settings. Ooh, conversion tools, awesome. That's that ConvertKit.
And I'll tell you, like, the biggest thing, guys, it's not. There's no magical plugin. It's go on AI Tutor and generate a blog a day. Make it a good blog, one that sounds really good and is, put together well. Do that every single day, and you'll start to show up. There's no need, like, you just need content on the internet. And also, X articles syndicate SEO. So go ahead, upgrade your X account if you can, if it's a business account, and make articles. They show up on Google and go to your website.
Just to add a few pieces to that, Ross, by letting my AI tutor help create that content for you, remember the AI makes content sexy to other AI. And now that the search engines are all pushing and have AI in the background, it's actually to your advantage to have that content have those telltale markers that AI is helping you in terms of getting more eyes and crawlers on your content. I know that sounds counterintuitive and weird because a lot of you know you want to have more human content. That's absolutely true, but you can intersparse it with your own kind of fingerprint. Make sure you go back and you reread it and add in your own turn of phrase, but it still has those markers of co-collaboration with an AI, and believe it or not, it does help in terms of visibility. So if that's what you're trying to get to and have lots of eyes on your content and the products and services that you offer, it is to your advantage to use the tools that you have at your fingertips. And my AI tutor definitely helps with the generation of content, because most of your day will be caught up in that if you're trying to do it alone. So just so that is something that you should think about.
Oh, this plugin.
Yeah.
Some plugins conflicting with something.
Oh, whoops! My WordPress died. Let's see if I can fix that.
I always love it when it says critical error and it's not me doing it. So just so you know, everybody take a deep breath, look at that screen, maybe screenshot it so that you know that even the professionals do it. But critical errors are always one of those things that you kind of smile and chuckle and say, whoop, I did it. So yeah, I don't know where Alisher went. I think he slipped down, or we lost a speaker of some sort because
What? No, I'm still here.
We're here.
I'm still
well,
here.
somebody in the room has left because there has been a magic shuffle on my screen. And so now it's my goal to figure out who left the room and where the magic shuffle came from. But yeah.
And guys, if you're not breaking your WordPress with some plugins, you're not really learning. Like, it's part of learning. You're gonna break it. That's why cPanel and having access to cPanel means you don't have to call anyone. Actually, you can just take your house phone and then call your cell phone to get support, because you're the one that's going to log into the server and fix everything. And Alisher is right here going in and just going to delete plugins until it works. Literally, delete till it works is the goal. Delete till it works. And you get to do that. You get
Use
to
your
the
house phone to
dialogue.
call your cell phone because you're coming to your own aid. I love that, Ross.
Okay, my website works now. It was one of these plugins that was installed here before. Okay, guys. So one cool thing about all-in-one SEO is it lets you customize SEO for each page and each blog post, meaning you can really optimize all those keywords for each blog you make. So if you make a blog a day and you have SEO on each one of those, that's kind of like cranked up all the way. You're really gonna kind of hack Google, almost hack the indexing. Now, I'm gonna go to edit page. I'm not gonna use the visual builder for this because all this plugin stuff is going to exist outside of Divi. And here's my AIO SEO settings. Everything that I set up. Let's see. I can add some focus key phrases, which will help you edit the wording on your website.
And this is where you would ask AI Tutor. Here's my website page. Give me a collection of trending keywords in Google in 2024. And guess what? You can switch to Perplexity, get those trending things from the internet directly without even leaving AI Tutor. Then paste right here. Boom, you start showing up under those key tags.
And another thing to keep in mind here is in the top right, you're gonna see some SEO scores. So as you improve your SEO, those scores are gonna increase. I'm in the orange right now. It's not too bad. You want to be in the green. And here's some things like the social share. So you can take a look at what it looks like when you share it on Facebook or X. Very useful. You can even set up redirects. Pro feature. Let's see. All these pro. Yeah. Oh, advanced. We don't need to worry about that so much. But for the most part, you guys want to set up your page titles, descriptions. You want to add some keywords here. Let's see. I know my template is about spot. So adding learning in here is going to be terrible. But we'll add learn 50. Yeah, expected. But here's the suggestions. How can I improve? Focus key phrase in SEO title. What's my title? Okay. Let's do learn on Thursdays. And this should fix it for me. Yeah, there you go. So you guys, it gives you a nice checklist of what you can do to improve your SEO based on your title, based on what's actually on your page, based on your images. So this is something you guys can spend the time on, and eventually you're gonna get in the green for the SEO, and your Google rankings are definitely gonna increase, right? And this is all natural SEO. Really, you're just editing some of this metadata that the page has. You're accessing these extra WordPress options that you would otherwise kind of have to hard code. And again, even when you edit the settings here, make sure you click update for those settings to actually save. And that's it. You should be all set up with your SEO. Remember, all-in-one SEO, it's free to some extent for most of the things that we need. It's in the plugins. When you go to it from your dashboard, highly recommend. It's gonna immediately set up some of this SEO on the pages. For example, here's the page that I was editing. I don't even have to go into the page to edit some of this content. So guys, questions so far?
That's crazy just to look at. I have a question that you just pointed to it, and maybe I just missed it. When you're looking at the little off to the left, or no, off to the right, sorry, I'm ambidextrous, so left and right actually don't make any sense to me. But when you see the little orange box and it says like 57 out of 100, or you see a little red box that says, 28 out of 100, what is that dynamic? What is that signifying? Yeah,
So
like your cursor was just on it.
it's
What
an
does that number mean?
SEO score, but what you can it comprises of the things that it mentions when you go to edit. So once you set this up, for example, if you wanna target certain searches, let's say when people look for learn in Google and I want my website to come up eventually, that's kind of what it's gonna rank.
So that's a system of basically categorizing or rating your content in terms of what's sexy to SEO. Is that what I'm listening or
It's
hearing?
but it's also what it is what the I guess what the search engines look for, but also it's in what circles you want to show up. So let's say if you wanted to do something for spot, which is what this homepage is about, then I would change my title. I would change the keyword, key phrase in here It's no longer going to be Learn. It's going to be Spa, and then my rating is going to be very different. So it's really about when somebody searches for you on Google or any of these search engines, um, where do you want to come up? So if you want to come up in education, that's what the score is telling you, that you are, 78% there. You need to do all these other things, like add focus key phrase and introduction, focus key phrase and subheadings, focus key phrase density. So I have to add this key phrase throughout my front page. So that's kind of what the score is looking for.
Well, it's very interesting, but when you think about it too, sometimes you have such a weird niche market. Back in the day when we were writing about wearable tech, no one knew it because we made up the term, or hack schooling. That was a completely made up term. And so as a result, the search engine was just looking for the word versus a category because it didn't exist. And so I just think it's fascinating to watch the whole thing unfold. Dan has a question. Go ahead, Dan.
Yeah, I have kind of a chuckle and then a question. I was just actually chuckling at the fact that the SEO plugin is asking for my MySpace page. So that was kind of interesting. But the question is, on step 4 of 7, I noticed that in the SERP preview, it actually sourced my tsi.org URL instead of my published one, and I can't find where to change that. So that it, in the preview, it would actually point to my actual domain.
Yeah, let's see. Let's take a look at that. Let me go to your cPanel. I know what you mean, because we actually didn't point the WordPress specifically to your domain. Instead, you just added the domain to your cPanel. So now we need to find that part where we can connect them. So let's take a look. I'm going to go to applications. I'm going to take a look at your website. Okay, so there is an option to change location URL. Now, I'm going to first probably back up your website. So let me grab a backup of your website, and then we'll try out that little change. Now, guys, if you want to back up your website, if let's say you want to move your website somewhere, or you just want to make a backup and make sure, I guess, you don't mess anything up, when you make changes, it's easy. You're going to use all-in-one WP migrations. It's in your dashboard. Everybody has the unlimited version completely for free. And I'm going to click export, and I'm going to export it to a file. And this is going to make a backup for us. Very useful tool. This makes a carbon copy that you can just plug into any WordPress that has this plugin. And most of your websites are actually going to be pretty light because it's really just Divi and a few pages. There's nothing too crazy. Look at that. Immediate. Let's save. There you go. All right, now let me see if I can make this change. So it's music format.xyz, right?
Yep.
Okay. And let's see if this change, how long is it going to take to propagate? There you go. So I would say re-log into your website and try it again. Looks like the new link is working fine. That change worked. So yeah, guys, if you added a domain, you can actually go to the settings in Installatron for your WordPress, and you can change what's called an advanced location URL. So that's how you would change it to your domain. I already did this for you, Dan. So for you, it should already work. I would say all you have to do is close all the WordPress you have and go relog into it from the new domain.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Okay, guys. So we have about 5 minutes. Now, I think what I wanted to point out is some things we should have for week 6, right? So week 6 is coming up, that time where we're going to be edging towards finishing and finalizing everything. We're going to probably showcase some websites. I'll make a website to showcase even. And some things you want to have for week 6. Of course, domain. If you don't have a domain and you can't really get a domain, that's okay. But having a domain means that this website is going live, that you're ready to go live. So that's one of the things. Another thing is, of course, your actual website built out. So having some images that aren't stock images, but that very much relate to your website and your overall theme. Having your text in there, having your menu set up. So let's take a look at my website actually, because there's some key elements that we have here. And this is what we'll be looking for in week 6 when guess we're looking at the websites and we're really deciding, is this website going to stay on our server, or are we going to move, or are you going to have to move it? Well, first thing, of course, the header. You want to set up a header that actually works for you, that links to the things that you care about, whether it's different sections on your page or different links that link to you or whatever brand you're trying to build. Of course, the content on the website should also be edited. It should reflect what you want to achieve, and the theme and the product or company that you're representing. You want to edit your videos if there's videos. You want to edit your pictures if there's pictures. Now, if you don't want to have a store, you don't have to. But if you're building a website where you want to have a store, you want to have equity set up. You want to have at least a few products in there. Doesn't have to be too many. We understand you guys are still building. You can't really. This is your first website. You can't really build a website from 0 to 100 completely done in 6 weeks. Which is why next week we're going to show you how to continue this outside of RC panels. But yeah, you want to have a product if this is somewhere where you're selling products, and you want to have a footer that has some of your social links, that has the things that you need in a footer in order to capture your audience, and none of this copyright at Divi stuff. So really, for the most part, you want these pages to be edited. You want to have a header and a footer. You want to have some SEO set up. And if you have a store, if you're planning on having a store, you want to have a few products in there, 2 or 3 products at least, that kind of fill in a row of your website. And that's for the most part what we will be looking for in week 6 when it comes to the websites that are going to stay on here. Otherwise, actually, next week we're going to show you how you can just take this backup and put it somewhere in DigitalOcean where they'll give you credits for a few months, so it'll be completely free. And it's actually quite easy. It only takes a few minutes, and I think all of you are going to enjoy that aspect of creating a server and actually kind of peeking even further behind the scenes. Jeff, I see you have your hand up. What is up?
Yeah, just a real quick question. With having a store set up, is it possible or okay to have both Stripe and PayPal attached
Yes,
to the
absolutely.
store?
You can have all of them attached to the store. Stripe, PayPal. I think Equid probably allows you to work directly with some of these institutions as well. Let's see. Do I have Equid enabled here? Let me take a look on the page. But yeah, you can have as many payment providers as payment processors as possible enabled. You want to really appeal to everybody. Square, if you're using Square especially, even I guess if you know people who manually pay, you can have that enabled too. And let's see what other options there are. They have tens of options like Clover, crypto.com. Amazing if you want to accept crypto. Equid might be the way to go. Another one, OrPay, American Express, Amazon Pay. Realistically, you want to have as many of these enabled as you can because you don't want the customer to have a hassle of figuring out their payment method when they can just click whatever they have. But yeah, you can have everything enabled at the same time. It's actually better to have that.
Alisher, do you know if they have, I was looking for it before and I still can't find it, like a Thingiverse or any other of the 3D printing file sharing um, folks. So let's say you want to upload a 3D printed file for folks to purchase. I was curious about that, if there's a back end way to have stuff like that, if you knew of.
I think so. What you can do is you're going to give them a file, right? At the end of the day.
Yeah, I was thinking about this because I have a 3D printed file and it's already catted out and everything that the kids use for our business plan. And one of the things that we're working on behind the scenes, with the project that we all got suckered into, I thought, well, how would you do that? Because it's always been like Gumroad or something else like that, where you have, one of those things. But I kind of want to hook to a 3D printing shop.
You could do it in here too. You can put it on Sketchfab and then embed it. That's an option. But if you want to serve the file itself, let's say right here, they pay $20 to get a file. I can actually go in here. There's files option. It looks like it says you need to upgrade for files. So that's how you can serve it. You could also serve it as like a private link that they get, maybe.
Yeah, that's kind of what I like the other idea. I'm going to marinate on it because I couldn't find it, but now that you've pointed it out, it makes sense to me.
And of course, you can actually, you can 100% embed a Sketchfab, and Sketchfab does let you sell models, so they can just go from your website directly to Sketchfab. You don't even need Equid.
The other question I did have, and I don't know how to do it, but for those that are setting up nonprofits, do you have like the ability to have a donation? That is one of the other things that I've been curious about.
Well, that
Is
was just okay. For that specifically, you would just go to Stripe, because in Stripe you can set up donation. And I'm gonna go to our website, and if you're watching the live stream right now, it is you can set up a donation in Stripe where you can put whatever amount. It's a custom amount, and it's really just a Stripe link.
That's what I thought too, because we had a friend that was here earlier with the robotics team, for instance. That's the kind of use case I was thinking about. A lot of these are 503c whatevers. So you want to make sure that you have those kinds of conduits set up, because it also helps you with your taxes later if you're letting them do all the busy work, in terms of keeping track of donations and things like that. But a Stripe makes sense too. Okay, I just wanted to make sure that that was on the record, because we had a couple questions, and then I wanted to make sure I wasn't leading anybody astray.
I think use whatever method works for you. I'd say really think about what you want to achieve. If it's donations, Stripe is extremely easy. They will give you this link. All you have to do is just make a button that leads here, right? If you want to have a store where people, buy actual products like T-shirts and you have inventory, then Equid might be the way for you. If you want to have something like, print on demand, you don't have inventory, then you can look for a plugin for Equid that would do that. Something with
But what
Redbox.
I think people are trying to figure out is to circumnavigate Patreon. Patreon has different kinds of, levels of donations and things like that, and you can reward your patrons with bells and whistles and things like that. I do believe that a lot of folks are kind of marinating on that, to be able to have an alternative to Patreon or Kickstarter or something like that, where you can have your one page and be able to kind of have it all in one place, and as opposed to, here's my buy the coffee, here's my coffee or KOFI link, here's my, Patreon, here's my Kickstarter. It's always, here's all of my different handouts. But if you could have one, localized hub and have the same kind of ability to, generate revenue for your cause or things like that. But I have to marinate on that a little bit more, I think.
Yeah, and now that I'm thinking of it, you don't need to have a store with Equid. You can just have products in Stripe and just have buttons that lead to them. And then Stripe will
Yeah.
take care of everything else.
Well, Stripe, I mean, for the average everyday solopreneur, Stripe is so, so powerful because it really does give you the leverage, and it helps you with the record keeping, because that is a big freaking deal for folks that are, just doing business on their own, to make sure that you have accurate record keeping of where monies are coming in and out. It just makes life so much easier as opposed to having to deal with that yourself.
Yeah, and we are big proponents of Stripe. We use it in all of our subscription software. We use it with our private clients when we just need a payment process, and we use it for donations. It's also very flexible, and
You can call
like,
someone.
just like all-in-one SEO kit, it can even connect to those automation tools and those conversion tools, so you can actually see.
Well, it also is one of the things too, that if you're going to operate here on X/Twitter, Stripe is your only kind of vehicle to do that.
Yeah, and you know what? It protects both you, and it protects the person buying something from you. Because let's say something gets lost in shipping. Well, in that case, I think both sides can be protected, and the situation can be easily remedied, versus somebody being, left hanging. Whether it's you who now has like this chargeback against you, where you kind of owe money for a product you already produced and sent, or whether it's the other person who paid money and never received the product. So Stripe also kind of helps you remedy the situation where both you as a seller is protected and the person as a customer is protected as well.
Which is very, very important when it comes to the digital overlay in general. When you have a trustless system, having those layers of accountability helps. You want your customers to feel confident in investing. So at any rate, are we almost done, friends?
I think I've went over everything that we covered last night with the SEO, with the domains, with making a new WordPress, and I think we're ready for next week. I'm
I think we
really
are too.
looking forward to putting these websites.
I really think you just do such a fantastic job. It's a tag team effort, I know, behind the scenes with you, Alisher, Alisher, and Nick and Ross, all collectively kind of coming in and making sure that everybody has their I's dotted and T's crossed. And I really enjoy Thursday mornings. The kind of going back and looking at it with fresh eyes always seems to be very beneficial in more ways than I could possibly put into words, I suppose. But I just wanted to thank you, because I know that it's a huge time commitment. Folks really truly don't understand what goes on behind the scenes. If you were up last night, they were testing demos at 1 a.m, after we had already had our classes. So to give you an inkling that, they are constantly working behind the scenes to make sure that they have the best products available to all of us. And the fact that you would come in here and just help us build our dreams and aspirations through WordPress. It's very humbling, and It's very special. You guys are very, very special. So at any rate, each of you that showed up today, congratulations. I hope that you tied everything up in a nice little bow, and that you'll be ready for next week. Next week is going to be really cool. It's like a graduation of sorts, but you've come a long way in 6 weeks' time. From zero to something major is kind of cool. And I hope that you do celebrate those wins. Showing up for yourself is a big deal. Making time to hack your own education is a big deal. You have so many things that are pulling and vying for your time and attention. There's so many distractions in this world. And the fact that you can put those on the shelf and then show up is awesome. So I want to say thanks to obviously Kevin, Matea in the background. Luke, I know, was in the background also. And obviously Josh Hellman for having the space available for the TSI crew. And as always, if anybody has any questions, Slack channel, we'll make sure to kind of touch base with everybody, make sure that you're all, in a good place. I know that there are a couple of us that I would be one of those included that really frack some stuff up and have to go back to, figure out how I want to redo some things, because sometimes you don't really understand how all the pieces are put into place until you've seen everything play out. I'm one of those people that have to kind of look at the whole strategy of it. And it's sometimes really hard when you get to about week 3 or 4 or 5 and you realize, this might not be the business model that I was thinking in my head, which is always one of the hardest pieces of building anything. We teach this in robots too. It's always the toughest part in week 5 when you realize you have a couple weeks before, a competition, and you might not have read the brief the right way, or you've designed for a problem that does not exist, that just looks cool on paper. And those are the kinds of things that you can only find out by actually going through the motions and going through the rigors and testing your project. And, it's a very humbling experience to have that kind of critique. And I hope that each and every one of you take that with grace and poise and dignity, because it happens over and over again. You really, truly want to have that crucible, you really want to have that refining fire, because you don't want to go into the public market square with something that's substandard, that is not a tested steel, as they say. So I'm really proud of each of you. Go ahead. I'm done with my piece. So you close out, and then we'll have Kev close out the rest of the space.
I just want to say one quick thing before we end, since you guys are here. While this was happening, Claude was updating stuff, so I took it upon myself.
3.5.
I took it upon myself to code it in right now, so it's live. 3.5
Are
is
you
live.
kidding?
Yeah.
That's freaking awesome. I was just going to tag you as like, dude, Claude 3.5.
No, I don't even need to tag me. It's already done.
I love you, Ross. I don't think people truly understand your neurosis and awesome. You have such a cool gift, and it is so freaking fun to have you as a friend and a co-collaborator, co-conspirator. Go ahead, Ross.
You up. I messaged you late. You probably were asleep. Maybe you weren't, but then you messaged me, so you weren't. But 2 things I want to tell you. One, you can make your JPEGs talk literally in 2 days.
I know, Hedra.
No, not only just Hedra, but it'll be in Pixio.
I know.
It's gonna be crazy.
So excited.
And also, you can now make music with lyrics and singing.
I am so geeked. When I heard that last night, actually, with Kev and with Dan, I don't think people truly understand that audio branding, that kind of audio kind of cue is so freaking powerful. It is so freaking powerful. When you're a baby and people are singing lullabies to you, they stay with you for the rest of your life. If you want to learn the multiplication tables, that sing-songy ABC, those kinds of things are for a very specific reason. They stick with you for the rest of your life. I will tell you, my grandmother's very last days, she was singing hymns that she sang as a child, and they gave her comfort and peace in her last days. It's the same thing when people hear a certain jingle or hear a certain, fairy fart, as we call it. They're going to know your brand. And Ross is just giving you the tools to do that. It's not just here's a website, it's an all-encompassing brand. And that's kind of what I was alluding to, is that, when you get to week 5 and you realize, I was very short-sighted. I did not think of a bigger picture. I didn't understand that, hey, if I had all of these different plugins, I could have had a more robust experience, right? You're not going to be able to check all the boxes, and you're not going to be able to have 100%. But as Ross just illustrated too, right? You're constantly updating. You're constantly improving. You don't, the product that the boys started with early is not the same thing. My AI tutor has changed so much over the course of a year. It has become it was a cool tool to begin with out of the box, but because they're consistently making those updates and consistently, adding to the ecosystem, it is so freaking cool. I mean, Pixio and my AI tutor are just incredibly powerful tools. And because you're consistently updating it, it's the same with your WordPress, right? The thing that you're building right now, that's not your end game. There is no end game. You're constantly going to be updating that and refining it and making it better, and catering to your client base and tailoring it to the experience that you want to provide for the people that you love to serve the most. So Ross, freaking cool. I can't wait to play. You're going to distract me. I'm not going to get anything done today. So go ahead, Ross and Kev, close the space.
Ross, did you have anything else? I just wanted to double check.
No, you're good, man. I wanted to chime in and say that the things are like live right now, so you can actually try 3.5, and it's weird. So I definitely urge you to try it.
Well, Belavel is like speaking its volumes or praises. Belavel, first thing this morning, is like, dude, this is freaking cool. And the fact that we already have it, and I say we, it's so funny. I've gained like ownership. My AI tutor has a different name. It's named Zelda. So whenever I log into Zelda, I know it's so weird. But yeah, this is so cool, Ross. Thank you.
Sarah, I grew up playing the Zelda game, so I don't think that name's weird. I think that's pretty cool. But Ross, like Sarah said, I'm gonna be distracted now, dude. I'm supposed to be doing stuff, and I want to make music now all day. And that, guys, the instrumentals alone and the lyrics that it can make now, it's actually mind blowing. Like, I can't believe you guys can create these types of tools this fast, Ross. So, I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart too. And I know Sarah said it too, but for me, and I know I'm speaking for everybody over at the ITT team too. Like, you guys are killers, man. Killer coders. You guys bring it every week, every day. You guys just show up and you do your thing, man. And you guys create awesome, life-changing tools that'll help a lot of people. So also, Alistair, Ross, Nick, thank you for running these recap spaces and running back what we did last night. I think for a lot of people, they learn in different ways, different forms, and for some people this is like easier, and they just want it quick, and maybe we miss some things, and it'll catch their eyes. And I love the recap spaces too, Sarah. I really do. It's a great way to start the Thursday. And with that, guys, make sure that reminder is set for ITT number 58. You bring a buddy and you're ready to pitch your website, maybe get a practice pitch in before we, fully showcase during week 6. And with that, I'll leave you with the 3 famous words.
Hey, Kev.
Oh, yeah.
Right before the 3 words. Saturday is a big day. We have some really amazing speakers in the ITT. So I want to make sure that folks on the recording and in class now understand that Saturday is a big day. Tech in Schools are bringing some special speakers, and Josh Hellman has some special speakers. And if you want to take and elevate your business model upward and be, rubbing elbows with some really brilliant minds that are going to help you, build your business the way that you want, you should be showing up to that. So set your reminders for Saturday too. So now your 3 words, my friend.
Yeah, it's literally the most honestly, the most jam-packed session we are possibly going to have had yet to date. So it's going to be amazing. Make sure you bring a friend, as I said,